Do you remember Govgate? Yes, well, all the TDs and even a minister said fuck everybody else. We give them rules the day beforehand, not to go here, not to do this, not to do that. You know what we're going to do? We're going to just say fuck that. We're not going to listen to our own rules as Supreme Court judge. Everybody else, let's go down for a drink into a golf society, which the taxpayer pays for. Isn't it a great country? It all went down. Everybody else was locked and couldn't go anywhere. People had to let their relatives die in nursing homes and couldn't go into them. People had to forget about many things, weddings, many important events in their life that had to be thrown out the window. And these TDs didn't give a fuck. The senators just went there, didn't give a fuck. Couldn't care less. Didn't care about anybody but themselves. Never cared. And again, we see this now. They're up in court, a few of them. And it's very suspicious that, at the end of the day, and this is the thing we need to ask, OT needs to ask this question. What about Phil Hogan when he was on his phone and was stopped by the guards? And how did Drew Howes? Why did they tell Drew Howes, the Garda Commissioner, about it? Why did the guards not just find him on the spot or give him a penalty point? Again, this is the question we need to ask. And it's Phil Hogan have to face consequences for that? Because if that was the only taxpayer, the only man, the only working man was on his phone, which would be right if you were on your phone while driving, you should be fined. You should be fined. You should be given a penalty point. Again, Phil Hogan apparently is exempt for that and for attending the legal gathering. Because again, they give out OT whinges and quibs and cries, and same with the mainstream media and TDs, when somebody goes out and protests for their rights and for the human rights and for anything else. And then if something that fits them out, they don't complain about it. But again, they whinge about it, and then the guards come out with batons and start beating people up for no reason because they're just there and they don't like what they protest about, stand up for themselves. And again, it's just a perfect example. Couldn't care less. Just couldn't care less, to state the judge. Govgate hearing adjourned until October the 30th. So it should be an open and shut case. Because, they obviously broke the COVID guidelines by being inside and being there. And probably no such thing as a mask or no tables. There wasn't such thing as 2 metre distance or anything. It's very funny and probably all up in the bar and everything. And music blaring and everything. They're probably burning money and everything. Wouldn't you be surprised, the taxpayers? But again, this is the kind of crooks we have in charge. And we will go anywhere, full hearing. So it could take 3 days if it goes to full hearing. It's not going to go to, let's be honest. They're going to be like, look at, they didn't know anything. They didn't know the regulations or anything. They're going to make up some shite. And just because the reason why they're probably doing it, because at the time, everybody was up in arms and they couldn't do anything. Because the Department of the Taoiseach and the Department of the Taoiseach and even the President was swarmed with letters. They got so many letters they didn't know what to do with them. I think it got in 2 or 3 days. I think the Department of the Taoiseach got 900 letters, which they had to go through because again they can't just say no. They had to go through all of them. Complaints about how dare these people do it. My mother died. One complaint. I actually remember somebody writing a letter off to the Taoiseach. That the father died in an accident, a farming accident. He couldn't go to his funeral. To stand outside the church, couldn't go near the coffin or anything. Some restrictions were terribly bad. Some of them couldn't even go into the graveyard to say the final goodbyes. Some of them couldn't even. They wouldn't. In some places, they wouldn't let people in to film it. Because it was that bad. Some of the churches, some of the priests were that bad. And then these fuckers went on. And basically said fuck everybody else. That's basically, and the judge should just fire them into prison because again we have a woman in prison for 3 months for not refusing to wear a mask. Again, I hardly doubt any of these fuckers wore a mask. These TDs or senators, I hardly doubt they're probably laughing at us. All having a drink laughing. And again, Phil Hogan broke the law twice. But against its own regulator. But again, as everybody knows, he did have to sign this European Commission. He was forced to sign really. Because everybody was like he probably moved off to Spain or somewhere because he couldn't be in Ireland because everybody would fucking just go after him because nobody likes him. And then we have Seamus Wolf that's still a Supreme Court judge and apparently it's a two above the law to be brought up to court or anything like that, and nothing's been done about it. He's still a Supreme Court judge, he's still there. If that was you and me, we'd be hanged and quartered. 81 persons, isn't that great? Broke the public health guidelines. And if that was you or me, we were having a party down the street, celebrating an old woman's birthday, 90th birthday. The guards come in with batons and beat the fuck out of us. Where was the guards? Were they all asleep? Where was the guards in Clifton, Galway? Where were they? Were they out after 2 people protesting for their rights outside the TD's office? Probably some Westchurch probably opened up, some takeaway probably opened up, and the guards probably put about 50 of them went out to them to batter them around the place. Were they too busy at that, or were they too busy badgering in the churches? Where were the girls? I'm sure they knew themselves. Maybe they were told to stay away. It's very funny how Phil Hogan was caught on his phone. And Drew House. How did Drew House know? Who told Drew House? And why did they go all the way up to the very top of the Gala chain? Shouldn't the girl just straight away? Because again, the law states that you should prosecute somebody if they're found on the phone. You can give them a warning. But to be totally honest, you should be prosecuted, at least give them the penalty point or give them the ticket. And again, apparently Phil Hogan was above the law. But yeah, it's going to be October the 28th. And obviously we all know there'd be nothing done. The jury would be quietly pushed out of the papers. There'd be nothing said about it. Forgotten. The media forgot. is not going to cover this. In fairness, the Irish Examiner, they did cover this and said, it's going to be to the 18th, the 28th of October. But we all know OT will be gone out of the papers. There won't be a thing mentioned about it on October 28th. It'll be very quiet. There'll be nothing done and they'll be let go. Nothing's going to come out of it. They'll be like, the judge's going to be like, they probably didn't know the guidelines. Even though they probably brought them in themselves, they had to pass it through the houses of the Oireachtas. They didn't know. They didn't have a clue. So, great country, isn't it? Great country. And then there'll be a woman in the next day who you probably forgot that to wear a mask. Take for example, the shopman probably was brought up to the courts, probably battered up to the courts because she forgot to wear a mask going into the shop, and probably the girls, about 50 of them surrounded her. That's probably the next case to be brought up, and then that woman will be demonised in the media for being anti-mask, anti-vaccine, anti-this, anti-that, anti-other, like this, that, other. And these TDs and these senators should be called anti-people, anti their own laws. They're against their own laws, anti lawmakers, because really, at the end of the day, they bought it in and they fucking went and done their own thing anyway. Which everybody in this country had a total right to be fucking furious at them. I was fucking furious at them, because many people I know made huge sacrifices to give up lots, and then these fuckers went and done their own thing, and apparently they were not accountable to anybody. Anyway, thanks for watching. Be safe.